Hello, my name is Matt Smith, and I help out in the recruiting and contracting department here at Secure Insurance Group. Thank you for watching this training. In this video, we're going to cover quite a few things. We're going to cover fully underwritten cases. So that's going to be your term and GUL cases. We're going to go over how do I get a quote? Where do I go to quote these policies? We're going to talk about price breaks. So these are what it sounds like. It's a price break that the insurance company gives you in purchasing insurance and where those are located. We're going to talk about accelerated underwriting and what that means and how that could be a great thing for you and your clients. We're also going to talk about a drop ticket and paper forms. So these are different ways that you can apply for policies and ways that it could save you some time. So we're going to go over these and really hammer home what these mean and how you use them. We're also going to talk about different underwriting requirements and show you where to locate underwriting requirements for each individual carrier. We'll talk about smokeless tobacco and how it has an effect on your client's policies and how it's different from like cigarettes or cigars and other types of tobacco. We're going to go through X-Ray. X-Ray is a fantastic software that will help you really get a good quote for your client and really make sure you're quoting them at the correct way. And so it'll be really good. We'll go over that. We'll also talk about a comparison ledger and a list report and where that can be handy in your business and when you're quoting term and GUL. So we'll get into this and we'll get started here. This is the First Heartland Quote Engine homepage. And so First Heartland is where we quote all of our term and GUL. And so this is where you'll go. If you don't currently have a login, that's fine. Just let me or some of the ladies know, and we'd be happy to get you a login. Before we get started here, feel free to save this video and watch it as many times as you like or share it with any agent that may need help. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to help. You can reach me by phone or email. Phone number would be 417-883-9300, or you can get me by email at matt.smith, S-M-I-T-H, at secureig.com, SECUREIG.com, and I'd be happy to help. All right, we'll get started. So this is the home screen. So if you'll see at the top, it says Home, Insurance, Technology, and Blog. We're going to go to Insurance. We'll go down to Quotes and Illustrations, and then we'll go over to Term Quote Engine, and that's where we want to click on. So we'll click our Term Quote Engine, and it'll pull up the home screen of the quote engine, or the page we want to be at. All right, it's going to have some things that are yellow. Obviously, the things in yellow are required. The things in white aren't, but we'll put those in. So we're going to run a sample quote here. We'll just pick a random day, June 5th of 1980. All right, this individual is 39 years old currently, and if you see here, it's got two different options for age. The first option is the current age that they are, so he's 39 years old. Now, the second is the age that he's nearest. Now, a lot of term carriers will actually go off the age that they're nearest, and that's what they'll base the rate off of, not the age that they actually are. Not every carrier, but some of them. And so I like to put the date of birth in there. That way you know you're getting the accurate quote and the correct quote, as opposed to putting the age. But you can do either. Obviously, gender will go male. Male or female will go male. And then the state, we'll leave it as Missouri because that's where I'm located. But you can change the state from there as well. Product type, we're going to leave it on term because we're going to quote a term here first, but this is where you'd go to change it from term to term with simplified issue or guaranteed universal life. But we're going to leave it at term for now. Underneath it, it says term length. So we'll look at, you can pick as many or as little, you can pick one or you can pick a bunch of them. We'll go with a 10, 15-year, and 20-year option for our clients. And then death benefit. We can talk about up to 3 different death benefits, and so we can quote up to 3 at a time. And so we'll look at $250,000, we'll look at $500,000, and we'll look at $750,000. All right. From here, you can also add riders, so like an accidental death rider or waiver of premium or a child rider. We'll leave it off for now, and then we'll go back and add it on later. But you can add it from here, but we'll look at it here in a minute. All right, underwriting information. So there's 2 ways that we can quote a policy. We can quote it through a health profile, or we can quote it by a health class. So if we're going to do health profile, we're going to put in things like height, weight, tobacco, and then we're going to go into any health details that this client's going to give us. And it can give us a pretty accurate description of what that policy is going to look like. We can also go through, and if you know the health class you're looking for, we can just select the health class and do it that way. It's a little simpler, but there's 4 non-tobacco ratings: preferred, best, preferred, standard, plus, and standard. There are only 2 tobacco ratings, preferred or standard. And so we'll just, for the sake of this example, quote a standard plus, but we can quote as many as we'd like, but we'll do standard plus. You can click show top 15 or get quotes. Get quotes is going to pull up every carrier that's willing to issue coverage on this individual. Top 15 obviously only shows the top 15. All right, here are our carriers. By default, it shows them with the annual premium. You can go up here to this drop down. You can do annual premium, semi-annual premium, quarterly premium, or monthly premium. For this example, we'll do monthly premium, but you can do any of them. If we go up to the top, you'll see we've got the 10 years selected because we did the 10, 15, and 20-year option. But if we want to change the option, we can click 15 or we can click 20 and see how that has an effect on our client. So we can keep it at any of them. We can go down here. Obviously, we're looking at a 10-year, $250,000 term. Cincinnati Life has a $19.58 policy. You can see everybody that's here. Then we've got the $500,000 option below it. And so it'd be $30.36. And we can continue scrolling down till we get to our $750,000 option. And so it's still with Cincinnati Life at $42. All right, so that's how you run a quote. Now, how do you know how to apply? Well, what we're going to do is we will actually click the apply button. And so say we were going to write this Cincinnati Life policy. We would go over here and click apply. Now, we have 2 options. We can do a drop ticket or we can do paper forms. Now, let's talk about what that means. So paper forms are exactly what it sounds like. It's going to take you to a portal. We'll click Get Forms. It's going to take us to a portal, and it's going to pull up all the pages that we need for this policy. We're going to go down here. All of them are here. We'll click Print. It's going to pull up a PDF of every page that we need for our client to fill out. So it's got 20 pages here. You would simply print this out, have your client sign it, fill it out with them, go through all the health questions, gather all their information, and turn it into the insurance company. And then from there, now you've submitted your application. Obviously, you'd have to order a paramed and things like that, but that's how you do the application. So it's very, very simple to find your forms. It's a great tool. A drop ticket is a little bit different. So let's talk about a drop ticket. What is a drop ticket? So a drop ticket, basically, we'll click Start Drop Ticket. I'm going to collect some very preliminary information, very, very basic information as far as I'm going to get like name, social, date of birth, address, phone number, face amount of the policy. Some very, very basic information is what I'm collecting here. I turn that into the insurance company here on this page. So I'll go through and fill it out, and we won't actually fill one out, but I fill it out, just get that very, very basic surface level information. The insurance company is actually going to call your client, and they're going to call this client and say, hey, you applied for, I'm so-and-so with Cincinnati Life. You applied for a $250,000 term. We would like to go through your application. They're going to confirm all the information you collected at the start. They're then going to go through all the health questions and health underwrite them. They're going to go through their banking information. They're going to gather every piece of information that you saved yourself time and didn't have to do it. So I know a lot of agents are very busy, and this is a way that you can save yourself a ton of time while still writing business and still producing a bunch of fully underwritten cases. So drop tickets are very, very, very handy. And like I said, the insurance carrier is going to call and do all the work on gathering information. So that's great. Let's talk about price breaks for just a minute. Now, price breaks are a very important thing to keep in mind. Price breaks are typically at $100,000 in death benefit, $250,000, $500,000, $750,000, or $1 million. And obviously they continue to go up after that, typically in about $250,000 increments. Now, what I'm saying here by price break is most of the time, if you run a $200,000 term versus a $250,000 term, there's not going to be much price difference between the two because they give a price break. So naturally, you're going to want to write your client where those price breaks are so that you can get them the most bang for their buck, the most insurance for the lowest premium. So that's just something to keep in mind. Let's talk about accelerated underwriting. The policy we picked did not include accelerated underwriting. You see that? But you can see like John Hancock has accelerated underwriting, or Banner, or SBLI, and there's several others that are going to have accelerated underwriting. So what that means is that means accelerated underwriting, basically, there's about a 75 to 80% chance that your client's not going to have to do a paramed, which is super, super handy because a lot of our clients are busy, or I'm scared of the needles and I don't want to do a paramed or whatever. And so being able to do a drop ticket, if they're eligible, if your client is with a carrier, it's a very good option because, like I said, there's about a 75 to 80% chance that they're not going to have to do a paramed. Now, how that looks is the insurance company is still going to do a phone interview with them. They're still going to do all that, and it's going to be the same. But from there, if they don't see anything that raises any red flags or anything that they want more information on, they're just going to go ahead and issue coverage. And it typically, you can get it up to $1 million on accelerated underwriting. So face amount really doesn't play too big of a factor up to that. But it is very handy. And like I said, there's about a 75 to 80% chance your client's not going to have to do a paramed. Not 100%, I've still seen it happen, but a good likelihood they won't, which is really, really good. So I always choose, for myself and my clients, I always choose accelerated underwriting when possible. Just, it's another step the client doesn't have to mess with. So that's how you run a quote. That's how you apply. One other thing I'd like to show you real quick before we move on is how do you find the underwriting requirements? So if we go up here and click on the specific carrier and their plan, the plan name. So with this one, it's the term setter on Cincinnati Life. We'll go to the top right corner and click View All Details. This page is very, 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 I really like it. So what it does is it's going to tell us different product features, underwriting guidelines, height, weight charts, underwriting requirements, different things that we may need to know that can help make you better. And so what it is you can look at it and say, okay, Cincinnati Life, the minimum issue age is 0. So they'll issue policies on somebody that, some of them like Banner's 20, so it just shows you the issue age. It also shows you the minimum death benefit at $25,000 versus $50 million is their maximum. It's going to show you their different risk classes. It's going to show you they do have an annual policy fee, and it's $75. Is it commissionable? It says true. That means it is commissionable. That means you're going to be able to make a commission off that policy fee. Different things like that. Conversion information here at the bottom. Any important product features that you need to know and your client needs to know, potentially. Underwriting guidelines. So this is going to be at the top. You see their rating, preferred plus, preferred standard plus, or standard non-smoker. This is going to be their important information that you as an agent need to know when you're field underwriting. So if you take cholesterol, for instance, you need to know their numbers. Are they, which class are they going to fit in? Blood pressure, 135 over 85, that gets them preferred plus. If it's 140 over 85, they're going to get a preferred. So you have a better idea of what your clients are going to get before you submit it. That way you're better at field underwriting and you're better at knowing, so your clients aren't surprised. So this is very, very, very helpful. If you go down to motor vehicle report, they're looking at no more than 2 moving violations in 5 years and no DWI or DUI in the last 5 years. Super handy to know. Some carriers look back 5 years. Some carriers look back 10 years. So if you have a client, he says, hey, I've had a DWI 7 years ago. Okay, well, doesn't seem to be a problem with Cincinnati Life because they only look back in the last 5 years. If you were to write him with a carrier that looks back at in the last 10 years, obviously that's not a good fit for that client because he's going to have a DWI, and so he's not going to be able to get that policy. So it's an excellent tool that when you're field underwriting, you can go through and find, hey, what are they looking for these specific rates? We can also look at their build chart. It's going to show maximum height and weight, minimum height and weight for their height, and so you're able to see exactly where your client fits in there. And then finally, it has underwriting requirements. And so their underwriting requirements are pretty cool. So it shows, like, if I'm looking at, for this gentleman as an example, $100,000 or $250,000 policy, he's 39, so he's got to go with B. So he's going to have to do a full blood profile and urinalysis and an amplified non-medical. So basically, it tells me what underwriting requirements, obviously the higher in death benefit, and older, obviously, we're looking at more things that we're going to have to do. So it basically gives you an idea of what to let your clients know and what to expect. So the underwriting guide is very, very handy, and we'll close out of it. But Each carrier does have that. So you can go down and click on Principal or John Hancock or Banner or wherever you are, and each carrier has that. So the underwriting requirements are huge. Let's look at what a child rider would do to this policy. So a child rider, obviously, it says how many units. So what a unit is 1 unit equals $1,000 worth of death benefit on a child. So we'll, for the sake of this example, put 20 units, which is going to be $20,000 in death benefit for this child, for the policy owner's children. All right. So for this $250,000 term that we were talking about, it is $24.86 per month. If we hover over right here, where we were at, if we hover over that, it's going to be an additional $5.28 per month, if you can see it on my screen, $5.28 per month to add that child rider on there. So what that means is that this gentleman is insured for 10 years at $250,000, and he pays $24.86 per month. But we've added a child rider, so for $5.28, he has coverage on each one of his children for $20,000. Now, something to note here, it does not matter if this insured has 1 child or this insured has 6 children. It doesn't matter. He still pays $5.28 total. It's not per child, it's total. So obviously, the person with 6 kids versus the person with 1, he's getting a better bang for his buck, right? He's only paying $5.28 as opposed for 6 as opposed to for 1. So, but the premium stays the same there. So that's huge. Very important to note. So that's how you would quote that. Let's go back, and I'd like to show you how to quote smokeless tobacco. Smokeless tobacco is one thing that we get a lot of agents that have questions on, because some carriers will actually give clients that use like chewing tobacco or other smokeless tobaccos, they will give them standard non-tobacco rates or standard plus, as opposed to preferred tobacco rates, which is going to be cheaper. So let me show you how you would rate that. We're going to go down to health profile. We're going to do health profile as opposed to health class. So we'll select a height. Say this gentleman's 6 feet tall and weighs 200 pounds. Has our client ever used any tobacco products? We're going to put yes. When did they last use? Our individual currently uses. And what type? We're going to go down to chewing tobacco. So that's our smokeless tobacco. And then we're going to hit get quotes. And I'll show you how this affects things. All right. So if you look here, Cincinnati Life would still actually offer coverage to this gentleman for the same policy that we were looking at. We'll go change it to monthly premium. But still, $19.58. They're giving him a standard plus rating, which is great. Lincoln would give him coverage for $22.53 at standard non-tobacco. You can kind of see here as we go down. So here's where we start to see a change. You'll see non-smoker plus, standard non-smoker, standard non-smoker, standard non-smoker, standard non-tobacco. And then right here at Transamerica is where we change. It says preferred smoker. And so that's why the rate went from all the way up at the top with Cincinnati Life at $19.58 all the way down to $45.58 through Transamerica at their preferred smoker rate. So obviously, you don't want to just say, yes, my client uses tobacco, because that's a huge difference. It's more than double the premium for your client to get the same exact policy. So it's good information to know that, hey, I can get my client a standard plus rating as opposed to a preferred smoker rating because he just uses chewing tobacco as opposed to cigarettes or cigars. So that's very, very, very important to know. Something else I'd like to show you is a comparison ledger and the list report. So there's 2 different ways that we can download reports and show our clients. So say you wanted to run an illustration for Cincinnati Life and Lincoln, but we wanted to do it for the 10, the 15, and the 20-year option. That way your clients can see all of the options. So we're comparing 6 plans right here. We're going to go to download. We're going to do comparison ledger. I prefer list report, and I'll show them both to you, but we'll do comparison ledger first. Okay, so this is the comparison ledger, and so it breaks them down here. You can see for this gentleman, it would have all of his information here. But Cincinnati Life, it's got the $19.58 that he's paying. So in 5 years, he's paid $1,100 in premium. And it basically breaks down every option. And so in a virtual world like we live in, there's a ton of clients we write that I may not actually see them in person, but I'm going to run them a quote. I'm going to send them, I like the list report a little better, and I'll show it to you in just a moment. But you're going to see I send them either a comparison ledger or a list report or both, and they're able to very, very easily look at that and compare it and say, okay, do I want to go with the 10-year option, the 15-year option, or the 20-year option, or whatever I'm trying to illustrate. It's just a very clean way of being able to see it. So I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to show you what the list report looks like. So we'll go down here and pull it up. I like this. I'm a big fan of it being clean and easy to read. And so I think this is a little easier to read. Some carriers, if we're looking at different things, or sometimes the illustration will pull up in multiple pages when you do the comparison ledger. And so it's a little more difficult to read because I'm trying to thumb through different pages and clients are looking through different pages, and it's a little more difficult. As opposed to, I really do like this this view, the list report, because it's very clean. It's one page, everything's right there. It's very easy to read. 10-year, 250,000, 15, 250, or 20 and 250. Here's the premiums. All of them are listed here. Here's the carriers. It's just very, very clean, very, very simple. So I do really like this page a little bit better personally, but you can use whichever one that you prefer. But it's a great tool, especially in the virtual world we live in today, that you can take that, visit with a client over the phone or whatever, and then send that to them. And then they can make an informed decision from there. So I do really, really like the comparison ledger as well as the list report. All right, let's see. I would also like to show you just a couple more things here. We will do this first. We'll do X-ray. So X-ray, we're going to go back to the very start. X-ray is going to be something that's a very, very good tool. So I'm going to show you where I went. So you go to Insurance Tools here at the top. So we'll click Insurance Tools. It's going to pull up this. We'll go down all the way to the bottom. You'll see this. It says X-ray right here. We're going to click on X-ray. Now what X-ray does is it's going to, if the pop-up blocker's not on, it's going to allow you to quote and quote more effectively, so that when you tell your clients a price, it's more of an accurate price as opposed to something that you're not really sure about. There we go. Now it's working. We're going to pull up that window. So this is X-ray. So I'm going to just create a case. So here's a new case. We'll go to the top over here and click New Case. Client's name. We'll do client. We'll continue it as a male. We're going to go down here and we'll do somebody October 5th, 1969. All right. Product type, we can do term or permanent. We're going to keep it at term. And then face amount. Say this individual is looking for $1 million policy. Now, we don't want to click search underwriting. If you click search underwriting, you're done. You're done adding information, and so we don't want to click that. We want to go over here to next section. So we'll click next section here. Now, all this information that we're about to look through and fill in is all totally optional. You don't have to continue adding information. You don't have to. But what we want to do is this. We want to paint as accurate of a picture as possible, and that's so that you're not blowing smoke and mirrors when you show your clients policies. You're actually showing them policies that, hey, if you've got somebody that's got some issues here, this is a perfect tool that'll say, you put your information in here, and it's going to really show this client show you what this client's able to get, and then you can accurately show it to your client. So we'll say this client's 6 foot tall, exactly, same as before, 200 pounds. Does his chest exceed his waist? We'll put no. Click next section. Has this client ever used tobacco? We'll say no. Next section. All right, now here we're going to ask about family history. So father, mother, brother, sister, cancer, heart disease, stroke, or diabetes. We'll say his dad didn't, but his mom did. Say she was diagnosed with cancer. So we'll click yes. When was she diagnosed? We'll say 55, for example. Did the mother die from cancer? No, she didn't die. What type of cancer did she have? So did she have breast, cervical? We'll go with breast cancer. Was she diagnosed with heart disease? Say no. Diagnosed with diabetes? No. Ever had a stroke? No. And brother and sister are good health, so we'll mark no there. So this basically just putting in the mother's, this client's family history because his mother had cancer. Next section. Blood pressure. Let's say they currently use blood pressure medication, and let's say they started in February of 2014. And it was controlled in May of 2014. And we will click next section here. Alrighty, this is cholesterol medication. So we're going to say this client has never had any cholesterol issues. So we'll move past that. All right, driving violations. So this is moving violation, reckless driving, DUI, DWI, license suspension. We'll say this client had a DWI in February of 2015. So we'll add that in here. And so you can see it's added. And we'll go down, we'll click next section. All right, aviation or scuba diving. We'll just continue and we'll just keep no selected on both of those. Next section. All right, different things about your clients, different medical conditions. Let's say they've got type 2 diabetes. Nothing else, but they've got high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes. We'll leave that. All right, date of diagnosis. We'll continue with the trend, February of 2014. And last A1C reading, we'll say 6.5. That's a pretty good A1C. No complications. It's currently treated, yes, and he takes 20 units of insulin. All right, now we'll go to case summary, and this is going to pull up everything just so that you can review it, make sure that everything in here is entered correctly, everything looks good, everything in ours does look good, so we're going to click Search Underwriting. Okay, and we'll see, it should pull up all the carriers that are willing to offer coverage on this individual. So if you see this, American General is willing to offer standard non-tobacco, Prudential, non-smoker, Lincoln Financial, standard non-tobacco, Protective. You get the drift. These are all the carriers that will offer coverage. And so then let's go down to Missouri for the quote. And we'll do a term, 20-year term in Missouri. So now we can pull up pricing. So we'll click Search Pricing in the top corner. Now, this individual can get any of these policies here. Protective will offer this policy as a standard non-smoker, and his premium is $3,351 per month. Now, we can obviously change, or not per month, excuse me, annually, $3,351 annually. We can change this to semi-annually, quarterly, or monthly. So we'll change it to monthly for the example. And it's $285 a month. American General's at $287, Lincoln's at $297. You get the idea. And so X-ray is a phenomenal tool that will really help you get an accurate description and an accurate representation of what your client could actually get. Because you don't want to sit there and tell your client that they can get this and when you really don't. This X-ray tool is going to help you be able to accurately quote your clients so that you know exactly what to quote them at and get them an accurate description and an accurate quote. So it's a very helpful tool. I highly recommend using it. It will save you a ton of headache and a ton of declined cases, and it'll really help you. The last thing I'd like to show you is how to quote a GUL policy. And so we'll exit out of here. And we'll come back and look at, this is the home page, obviously. So we'll go back to Insurance, Quotes and Illustrations, and the Term Quote Engine. All right, we're going to pull up a GUL here. So we'll do it on the same individual we just did. So 10/5/1969. He's 50 years old. Age nearest is 51. We'll continue. He's a male. And on here on term, on product type, we'll change it from term to guaranteed universal life. Now, personally, whenever I run these quotes, you can select as many as you want. I typically select 90, 95, 100, and 121 when I'm selling these. That's just how I do it. I've found that a lot of times there's not much of a difference between 115 and 121, so there's really not a reason to run it. So I typically do 90, 95, 100, and 121. And then we can look at death benefit. So we can say 250,000, 500,000, and 750. And we will go down and select. We'll do standard plus again. We'll also do preferred. All right, so we're going to click get quotes, and we'll see who comes up to issue this guaranteed universal life policy. All right, so here we are. Obviously, like we said, it defaults to annual premium, so we'll change it to monthly premium. And so if you look at to age 90 for a $250,000 guaranteed universal life on a 50-year-old male, a standard, or actually this is a preferred rating, it would be $200.50 per month, and that's with protective. North Americans at $202.50, AIG $204.17, and it just kind of goes down from there. Obviously, Principal here has accelerated underwriting eligible, so that's really, really good. $500,000, we're looking at North American at $395, and then we can go down to $750, and you see North Americans at $590 per month. That's to age 90. Now to age 95, we're looking at protective at $216. So before they were at $200, now we're at $216. You look at age 100, now we're at $228, and then age 121 is $250, or $235, excuse me, $250 to age 121 is $235. So this is how you quote a GUL. Same exact thing applies. We can still do the drop ticket or the paper forms, and then sometimes you still will find the accelerating underwriting eligible, which we talked about earlier. So that's how you sell a GUL, and you can do all the same things that we talked about. So you can download your list report or your comparison ledger. You can do different death benefits. You can add different health things that we've done. So everything we did on the term side, we can still do on the guaranteed universal life side. So very, very, very helpful tool. First Heartland has an amazing quote engine, and I really, really, really like it. So today we went over a lot of things. Like I said earlier, please feel free to save this video, reference it when you have questions. Obviously, you're welcome to call me or email me. Today, like we said, we went over fully underwritten cases, so terms and your GULs. Where do you go to get quotes? Like I said earlier, if you don't have access to First Heartland's quote engine, just call me or call either of our girls in the contracting department, and they would be happy to get you access to this. It's very, very simple, and we can get you access and get you on it. We talked about price breaks and accelerated underwriting and how that could save you and your clients some time, and how it's very good. We talked about drop tickets and paper forms and what the difference was, and how to write those. We talked about the different underwriting requirements as well as smokeless tobacco, X-ray, child riders. We went over guaranteed universal life and term. So we had a lot of stuff we covered. So feel free to go back and watch this video again. Feel free to save it. Feel free to share it with other agents that may need help. And if you need anything, like I said, my name is Matt Smith, and I'm in the recruiting and contracting department at Secure Insurance Group. Thank you for watching our training. My number again, 417-883-9300, as well as my email at matt.smith@secureig.com. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day.